Wow. What a day that we have had so far in college football. Well, not even just in college football. What a day we've had in general, just in the world of collegiate athletics. We've got the Daddy Gate situation going on in the SEC with Ole Miss and company. You've got the UFL that just released its new rules. There's a lot that's going on around the college game. And guys, there is going to be a lot of controversy going into this one. And guys, I am really, really, really excited for this. I am really excited for what's to come from tonight's show. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. So welcome on in to Inside the Huddle. I am your host, Lucas Hill. Want to thank you all once again for hopping on with us. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that you are notified for every time we go live here on Inside the Huddle. Guys, we're getting closer to 60,000 or 60 subscribers. We ain't even close to 60,000. But I am really excited to get into this. We have had an interesting day in college football and the world of collegiate athletics. So, with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get right into this, baby. I just put out the Inside the Huddle link. So, guys, go ahead and just join up. We want to get you guys' opinions, your guys' thoughts on everything that we've had go on today in the world of collegiate athletics. I do apologize, by the way, for not participating in yesterday's show. I was very, very busy. It was a very, very interesting day. But apart from that, guys, I'm really, really excited for what is to come. All right, let's get after it. We've got three big things going on today. Let's start off with our college football. Paul Finebaum, back in the news once again, examines if the SEC could abandon conference championships with the auto CFP bids. Now, we talked about this the other day, about the potential of not just the SEC, but also just the entire world, or just the entire P4, potentially just getting rid of all of its conference championship games. Is that still a possibility? It very well could happen. You know, I've been very, very open to the possibility that this could happen. This could be a thing that we see occur in the near future. And with the SEC and the Big Ten essentially running college football at the moment, we now have a more clear picture of where the direction of college football is headed right now. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So let's go ahead and let's kind of break down this one. In particular, it would be a model that would see the SEC and Big Ten both get 4 auto bids, which we've already discussed plenty last week. By the way, Jake Crane coming on Thursday, so we'll have a lot to talk about in the morning. He was on with our good friend Cole Kulick and Greg McElroy, and he talked about this. I think there's 2 schools of thought. The old school thought is that everything we already know about those weekends, but I think you have to eliminate that because that weekend is already getting diluted slightly. It even felt that way this year in Atlanta. Yeah, there were a handful of empty seats. We knew both programs were going to the playoff. We just didn't know which one would earn the bye. So you didn't feel like there was a whole lot on the line when you compare it to, the SEC championship, to me, the SEC and the Big Ten championships didn't have a lot that was on the line when you compare it to the Big 12, even the ACC, when there was a possibility that if Clemson had pulled the upset, that they would eventually get in over SMU and potentially SMU would get left out. But that never ended up being the case. In the Big 12, when Arizona State blew the doors off of Iowa State, where the winner of that game would get in and not another Big 12 team. But it also appears that regardless of whether or not auto bids are added and the college football playoff is expanded further, the SEC will be in a position where it's safely getting multiple teams into the field for the foreseeable future. But I think if it's done right, and I think if it's done with a minimum of schools, I think there could be some drama that weekend if we had a play-in for the fourth spot or something. Let's say Alabama had played Ole Miss this year in Atlanta for the final spot on the field, as opposed to Bama, Texas. There probably would have been tremendous interest in that. It would have. So, and honestly, how long will the SEC championship last? How long will it be until we see the end of the SEC championship? And it's kind of concerning to me, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of great memories that a lot of people love. There is a lot of guys that you would love to see still in the SEC title. But unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get that. And it sucks to say that conference championships may be dead in the near future because of this. And I think conference championships are going to get replaced with play-ins. You're going to see potentially the top 8 teams in the SEC, maybe the ones that are maybe a 4 versus 5 matchup, get replaced for the SEC title. I do think there's a strong possibility we will see that instead of an actual SEC championship game. I think that will be replaced with just an SEC regular season title, and we'll go back to what we did back before the championship games were even created in the early 90s and everything before 1992. It's bound to happen at some point, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see college football kind of take a step back and get rid of conference championships and add in these play-in things that the NBA uses, that college football, that the NFL uses with the playoffs and with the wild cards and such. And I think that's what the new model of what you're going to see in the near future of college football. There's a lot of people watching the game as it was, but there was minimum on the line. A first-round bye was on the line, which didn't really seem to help either team and didn't help anybody in the field, but I think it can be done that way. But if you start getting game in Atlanta and then 2 or 3 home sites, I think the weekend is going to be a mirage. That one is very concerning. 16 million people who watched the SEC championship between Georgia and Texas were seen, down from last year, which saw 17.5 million tune in. So that's about another 900,000 people that didn't watch the SEC. So I do see this potentially being a issue that college football could see. I don't know if the Big 12 is going to be a big factor in there, but I do think that the Big 10, and I think with the SEC being a big factor in this, I think that you're going to see a lot of conference titles really not be a big factor for teams in the near future. Kirby Smart took a jab earlier at Johnny Manziel while he was speaking at the Nike Coach of the Year Clinic. Georgia Bulldogs head coach Kirby Smart took a jab at former A&M Aggie quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel for his reputation as a partier while in college. Now, this is an interesting one to me because honestly, I don't think it was somewhat necessary, but I do think that I kind of understand what he was getting at. But again, it was interesting. It was really, really interesting. But I don't know if it was really necessary. So here's the video that I'm going to show you guys. And then if you guys are in the comments right now, let me know what you think.
These guys have in common. Speak up. Heisman. It's a good answer. That's actually true. They're definitely quarterbacks. That's the most elementary thing. Heisman, quarterbacks, champions. He ain't champion. Champion of what? Champion of fireball. All right. I'm gonna go here for you. There's Heisman, right? They all had great days versus our defenses. Okay, they both, all four of them went off on us in some way, shape, or form. Okay, but the Heisman, what are
these? Champion of fireball, huh? But hey, he makes a great point. They all had good days against their defenses. He's absolutely correct. Do I think it was necessary? Sure, go for it. Honestly, I don't think it's really too much of a big deal, unlike what people are considering this to be. So it's not really that big of a deal. People, relax, take a joke. And he really was the king of a fireball. You know, we can talk about his play on the field all day. Sure. Look what he did off the field, too. Come on. You can't lie. The dude could down a good fireball. Pretty good. I mean, come on. Evidence speaks for itself, dude. I mean, come on. I mean, we all know that dude's popping the Dom Perignon in his hand, and the dude's got freaking sparklers in his mouth. I mean, why wouldn't you think that he was the king of a fireball? Just come on. Come on, let's get real. Come on. Yeah. Johnny Manziel loved to party, I'll say that. Just like he said. I mean, if you didn't watch the Untold documentary about him, there's a lot of truth to it. And sure, I know some of the stuff was a little bit exaggerated, but he basically told the truth about what happened during his time at Texas A&M. You know, they built a freaking stadium off of him because he won the Heisman and because he helped put A&M back on the map. And he just did so much for the state of Texas. Specifically College Station. You know, you saw enrollment numbers like you hadn't seen, and the guy never got a dime from it. It absolutely sucks. The fact that you have that come into play. But again, we're waiting on Johnny Manziel to fill out the lawsuit. I hope that it comes in sooner than later. Because look, it's got to come. You know? And if it doesn't now, then when? That's my thing. If you guys have an issue with it, please hit me up. I would love to talk with you about it. It's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to take a quick break real fast. We got a lot more to talk about here inside the huddle. But once again, want to thank our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com for helping sponsor us once again. And again, guys, thank you guys for listening. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Are you a music producer, DJ, or just someone who loves to remix tracks? Well, say goodbye to messy, low-quality track separations and hello to vocalbreaks.com, the most powerful AI-driven music editing tool on the market. Unlike other separation tools, Vocal Breaks harnesses the most advanced AI model available, delivering crystal clear vocals, pristine instrumentals, and an unmatched precision, all online with no software required. You can extract vocals or instrumentals with studio quality accuracy. It's perfect for remixes, mashups, karaoke, and music production, and for a faster, cleaner, and more reliable than any other service. So if you want the best, don't settle for less. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code LucasHill10 now and experience the full future of AI-powered music editing. That's vocalbreaks.com using code LucasHill10.
All right, baby. Once again, thank you guys for everybody over at vocalbreaks.com. Use that code LucasHill10 in the description below. Let me go ahead and post that code real fast. So there you go. Use that code right there. But again, thank you to the fellas over at Vocal Breaks for helping sponsor our show. We really appreciate them. And yeah, man, I mean, shout out vocalbreaks.com. By the way, guys, out in Aggieland, 6-2, Texas State has the lead right now. So, a little interesting thing of what's going on over there, but still, hey, a lot to look forward to as college baseball continues. And look, we still got a lot to look forward to. Really, really excited with what college baseball is going to bring. I'll be out in Lafayette tomorrow for Southeastern and ULL. So I don't know if I'm going to do an early show tomorrow or if I'm just going to not do a show at all. But we will not have a night show tomorrow inside the Huddle. But again, make sure you guys stay tuned to X for more info regarding that, as well as our Instagram and even our YouTube. So I'll make an announcement on that within the next few weeks. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Again, appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. So let's get into this situation with Daddygate. Part of me did not want to get into this because we are a college sports show. But again, this is interesting. And it's one where I don't think I've ever seen something this crazy before in my life, especially at this level. Here's my thing. So apparently the girl was talking to a man, so some girl, I don't know what her name is. So she's a sorority girl at Ole Miss, so I'm sure Lane Kiffin's daughter knows him. Apparently she's a Kappa Delta, or yeah, I don't know, man. Even Josh Pate talks about it. People are speaking about Ole Miss Daddygate like they're news correspondents in war-torn Thailand. Dude, this is one of those situations that you never heard of. A chick that cheats on your boyfriend with their own dad. That is probably the most screwed up thing I have ever seen in my life. So her name is Mary Kate Cornett. Apparently that nothing's confirmed. So just so I don't get sued. All right. But according to the sources that are out there on X, This is what apparently has been going on. So this is a Snapchat text that got sent by somebody else. And excuse me for the bad, like, basically, so I don't know, like, if you've heard this part, but so over like the break, oh my god, you know what? I'm gonna just read this like it's normally like a non-stupid person that's not from Ole Miss says this. So over the break, or I can click right before the break started. Mary Kate went home early from school because I guess she finished her exams early and went to go watch Evan's little sister in her basketball game and went with the dad. They dropped the sister off at home like after the basketball game. Well, no kidding, huh? And they went to like dinner and drinks and was buying her drinks and stuff. And then they got with each other there or something. And then that was like the first time. And then I don't know how Evan, the boyfriend, found out, but I know he did. And then he was like upset about it. And then Mary Kay like told him she'll never do it again because she's such an effing like liar and she's such a loser. I'm sorry. And so something never again. So never doing that again. But the mom knows, but she's not getting divorced fully because of Mary Kate. Because the dad is like cheated on her before, like multiple times. But so that's like why. But that's so sad. Not really. If that's a POS husband. I don't know why the wife didn't get rid of him before. If he's cheated on her before, why didn't you divorce him then? I understand that you have a kid in the middle. That's embarrassing for the son. Yeah. That relationship is now screwed. So, yeah. My question is, how the heck did it manage to leak onto social media? How did social media grab that? Somebody did a great job of taking a picture of that dang text. Because I don't think that was ever supposed to get leaked out there. But hey, Barstool's probably going to write about it tomorrow. I cannot wait for tomorrow when Feinbaum comes on. The first caller needs to discuss this. I kid you not. They do. Because to me, this is unbelievable. It sucks for the son because he's having to deal with this and he's in the house with the dad. I guarantee you, I don't think he'll be coming home anytime soon. But yeah, man, it's this was just bad. This was bad for the son. This is bad for that family. This is yeah, yeah. That's what it was, man. I mean, it's pretty crappy. So again, allegations. They're not official with all of this. So, in order for me to prevent me from getting sued, I am not risking my butt from getting sued because of this. All right? It's not happening. So, that's all I'm going to say about it. It's again, allegations, but the evidence says otherwise. But until we have actual proof, the girl's already deactivated the piss out of her account. I literally went to go look and it's deactivated. Make no mistake about that. So, yeah. Anyways, So if you want to take it how you want it. Again, I am just giving you what I have learned. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened because, again, we have to be careful and say that this is alleged. If we say it happened, then we get sued for defamation. And I don't really want that, especially with what we're growing right now, because we are a sports first podcast. We're not any of drama. We're not any of Barstool. We're not. I don't want to be. I was hesitant to even talk about the Steve Smith situation on Sunday. Part of me didn't want to talk about it. But hey, we briefly discussed it. Again, what is going on with these cheating things around not just the SEC, but around the collegiate world? But again, these are kids that are about my age. My question is, my question to the wife is, why didn't you divorce him sooner? But anyway, that's none of my business. We're moving on. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Washington. So apparently, from what I've been hearing, Jedd Fisch is running that program like it's a military base. Well, you need to. Because you need to have discipline in this team. You can't have what you brought in with Jonte Cook, and then literally a few weeks later he gets arrested and he's booted from the team. And he'll never I don't think he'll step foot onto a collegiate field ever again. Unless he goes JUCO and he cleans up his act. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with him. But I will say this. You better get ready, Washington. It's going to be a long year for you. You're obviously losing a guy like Steve Belichick, led the number one defense or led the number one pass defense in all of college football from a team that was a CFP player 2 years ago and had the worst pass defense in college football. And you turned it around to make them the number one defense. Not a top 50, not a top 30, not top 20. The number one defense or the number one pass defense in college football. How impressive of a turnaround is that? And if you would have had the offensive power that you had 2 years ago with Roma Dunze and with Michael Penix, hell, even with your running back that you had, I done forgot what his name was, you would have had arguably one of the best runs. You would have been a dominant national title contender. Make no mistake about that. Anyways, let's continue on. Louisiana state lawmakers are preparing to file a bill to exempt NFL NIL dollars from the income tax. So this is first broken by our good friend Wilson Alexander of The Advocate. And I found it to be interesting. It says, it reported that such legislation is expected to be filed ahead of this year's legislative session. State Representative Dixon McMain told The Advocate that they are planning to file the bill, which follows the same set path by Georgia, Alabama, and Illinois, which I think is pretty interesting. McMacken, and said LSU and other schools in the state are doing the same. The goal, he said, is to put athletes in Louisiana on the same level as other states, which are looking to exempt NIL money from income tax. The income tax right now in Louisiana is about 3%, which I think should be lower than that. I think it should be none. So technically, Florida is already ahead of the game because they don't have an income tax in the state, which was passed, I think, in not too long. So Georgia was the first one to file the bill on February 4th. Alabama followed suit about a week later on the 12th, and then state representatives in Illinois filed one earlier today. And then Georgia filed one, and then Louisiana filed one today. So Missouri and Texas have passed bills in recent years to prevent the NCAA from launching investigations into NIL activities, which they really shouldn't be investigating them because it's legal. And then the bill filed in West Virginia would do the same. In Oregon, state representatives would file a bill that would amend the state's NIL law and prohibit the NCAA or any other governing organization from requiring college athletes to disclose their earnings. They don't need to. That's not anybody's business, especially not with this. That shouldn't go on your tax form. It just doesn't seem lawful, to be honest with you. It just doesn't seem right to me. Just feels weird that you're doing that. The proposed amendment appears to take aim at one of the key terms of the landmark House v. NCAA settlement, which would call for NIL deals worth more than $600 to be approved by a clearinghouse that will vet contracts. The House settlement would usher in the revenue-sharing era in college athletics, as schools would be able to share up to $20.5 million directly with athletes starting this year. So there's a hearing that's going to be called for in about a week, I think. Yeah, sometime next week. Yeah, next Tuesday is going to be the day of the hearing. That one should be interesting. I'm going to tune into that one to see what's going to happen with that. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Anyways, that's interesting. So that's that. Do I think it will happen very soon? I sure hope so, because it does need to happen. All right. Let's talk about the rules changes for the UFL. I'm excited for this one. So the UFL has adopted new rules this year, and it's kind of been going to be based off of what the NFL used this past year and the XFL legacy during its 2023 season. So kickoffs will now start from the 30-yard line after being at the 20-yard line last year. The 10 remaining players on the kickoff team will line up at the receiving team's 40. All kicking team players were at the 20-yard line, including the kicker last year, which I think, yeah, that's going to be about like what you saw with the NFL this year. The receiving team's setup zone will stretch from its 35 to the 30 and must have at least 9 players in that zone. Last season, the receiving team had to have a minimum of 8 players, but no more than 9 in their setup zone, which was the kicking team's 30 to 40-yard lines, which was a 10-yard zone. The landing zone will be from the receiving team's 20-yard line to the goal line. The ball must reach the landing zone or it will be spotted at the 40. There will be 2 touchback spots, the 35 for balls kicked into the end zone, and the 20-yard line for balls that hit in the landing zone and then enter the red zone. All touchbacks were placed at the 25 last year. I think that's interesting. I think the one with the ball kicked into the end zone, I think you would really kind of consider that maybe a punt. And I think the one that goes straight into the end zone, it's just basically going to be where the teams are going to be at the setup zone. So onside kicks are done. 4th and 12 will still be a thing. So here's the thing that's going to be interesting. The head coach's challenge. Each head coach is going to have a second challenge if their first challenge is successful, and the head coach can challenge any officiating decision as long as the team has a timeout remaining. That is interesting. I like it. I don't have a real problem with it, to be honest. I do think that there is interesting. I know that there is an interesting one that we saw. I don't think that it's going to affect it much with the coaches' challenges. I do think it's an interesting one. I think the NFL may eventually adopt that. What happened now? Probably not. Oh, hello. Hardy Boys are back in WWE. That's interesting. Anyway, Jeff and Matt Hardy are back in the WWE. Anyways, you can never get him out, dude. You just can never do. So, a double forward pass on one play behind the line of scrimmage is legal. The ball cannot cross the line of scrimmage at any time prior to the second forward pass being thrown. I'm really interested in this one. I am excited. By the way, guys, the UFL tour for us is going to be a lot of fun. I am really, really excited for what we're going to bring you guys and just the overall awesomeness that we are going to bring with you. And really just show you guys at the end of the day. And guys, I am really excited for what's to come. This season is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are ready for what we bring you. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. And look, it's going to be one where a lot of teams are going to be contended. We already have preseason expectations. I think that we saw a team like, I want to say that the Stallions are number one right now in the UFL power rankings. I do think it's interesting, though, just knowing where they are. Alex Magoo, I think he's going to be utilizing a lot of different factors. I think that you're going to see him be more of an X factor in the offense because he's just got so much that he brings to the table. He runs the football really well. He can throw. The guy can go out, run a double reverse with him, and he can get out. He can get out and really do damage on the outside. All right, guys, I'm about to release my conference quarterback rankings. And guys, I've been really excited for this one. So, guys, I'm kind of nervous, but at the same time, guys, I am really excited for what we're about to show you. So, 3, 2, 1, bam. SEC quarterback rankings are finally here, and let's break them down. Number 16, I have Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell, simply because I don't know what to expect from this Alabama offense next year. I know you have Ryan Grubb back. Believe me, I'm aware. But I just don't know with what you're going to bring with Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell, whoever is running the offense. I don't really have an answer for that just yet. 15th, I have Bo Pribula. I think he's going to fit in just fine in this Missouri offense. We'll see what Kirby Moore can do with him. Look, Kirby Moore's got a lot of work to do. You know, this is a team that's going to be in rebuild mode. You lost Theo Weiss. You lost Luther Burden. You've lost your starting tackle in Armand Membu. Brady Cook is done. Nate, you're going to lose your top 2 running backs in Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll. You know, there's so many guys that ended up transferring out. And there's just so much that you could potentially get. But I will say, I think it's going to be a much better year for them knowing that you've got a lot of guys that you can build around. And I think starts with Bo Pribula. And I think that he's got a lot to look forward to. You're bringing in arguably the number one transfer at the running back position in Ahmad Hardy, who turned it up at ULM. You bring in Kevin Coleman for his last year of eligibility. Your offensive line is going to get better. You bring in Dominic Gaidas. Keegan Tross from Wake Forest is going to be a pretty outstanding offensive lineman. Vince Brown II will spend his last year at CSU. You know, I think there's just so much that you can build around this Missouri team. But again, it's still going to be a challenge at the end of the day. Number 14, I got Gunnar Stockton in this one. I just don't know what version of Gunnar Stockton we're going to get in 2025. And I'm not ready to pull the trigger and say, okay, he's going to be a top-tier quarterback. I just don't believe that. I just simply don't. And the fact of the matter is, we have to get real. Because we don't know with what this team is going to bring. And whether we like it or not, this is reality with what Gunnar Stockton brings. I was not confident in Gunnar Stockton, but that probably might be due to the offense. That might be due to the offensive line and the lack of depth that they had. That might be due to all that. Whatever the reason, I just don't have a firm confidence in a guy like that. 13th, I got Zach Calzada. Calzada's got experience in the SEC. First time being back in the SEC in about, 2025? 3 years. Spent 2023 and 2024 at Incarnate Word. And with that offense, turned it up a lot. Was Southland Conference Player of the Year last year. He's going into this year with a brand new offensive system. Look, if Kentucky's in dire needs of some offensive firepower, dude, you have to believe that. And look, let's just tell it how it is. Mark Stoops' year, or I wouldn't say year, but more of his job is very much so on the line. Let's just be honest. I think he made a bad decision to hire a guy like Bush Hamden. If this offense falls flat on its face, I don't think it should be a coordinator issue, or I don't think it should be a quarterback issue. I think it's a coordinator issue. You know, that's just how I see it. You know, and I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But I'll be honest with you, I was not impressed. Last year, this Kentucky offense fell absolutely flat on its face. And it goes to show you, Liam Cohen is an excellent offensive mind. Did a great job last year with the Bucks, but he's always been a NFL coach. That's just how it is. This offense did nothing all year. You got one good win against Ole Miss, and your quarterbacks did nothing. I'll just be honest with you. You didn't do a thing. Brock Vandagriff did not do a thing. Brock Vandagriff was just not a good quarterback. 57% completion percentage, 1,500 yards, 10-8 touchdown to interception ratio. Just was not a good quarterback. If we're being honest, this is what gets me, is because of this. What kind of difference will Zach Calzada make? Dual threat guy, can get outside the pocket, makes throws on the run. Excellent. Excellent play caller. Jackson Arnold, I have at number 12. Now, this could change over time. But for now, be honest, man, I don't know. Is this your guy? Well, look, you've got the pieces around you. You've got a guy like Cam Coleman. You've got a guy like Eric Singleton. You have a young roster on the edge. The thing about it is how can your quarterback play improve this year? I think Auburn has all the tools and all the reason to be an underrated team in the entire nation and shock a lot of teams. But it's going to start in McLean Stadium against Baylor, against another good quarterback in Sawyer Robertson. By the way, I'll have my Big 12 quarterback rankings pretty soon. If we can't today, maybe tomorrow or Thursday, we'll be able to reveal our top 10 quarterback or our Big 12 quarterback rankings. And you'll like where I have Sawyer Robertson. I'm very high on Sawyer Robertson. I think he scares me. The guy is an absolute freak at the quarterback position. I think he's one of the best that has come through Baylor since Bryce Petty. And look, that's including guys like that have come through in the middle. Charlie Brewer, who came in for a little bit, had a great season there. You know, guys like that. And I think when I look at Auburn, are you going to be able to improve overall in what you have on the offensive side? I don't know, man. I don't know what Derek Nix's offense is going to prove. I don't know what Hugh Freeze is going to do. Is Hugh Freeze going to take over play calling? We'll see, man. Because Hugh Freeze's butt is on the line. Let's just be honest with you, man. It's on the line. So I don't know, man. There is a lot that has to be done in order for him to be able to stay along as head coach. I think an 8-win season max is what you are going to expect from him. But again, we don't know just yet. 11, I have Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons is an interesting one to me because he looked really, really good in his one drive against Georgia. 5 for 6 for 64 yards. Dude, he was able to light a fire under this team. And look, I was thinking about putting him below Jackson Arnold, but I just love his skill set. I think Austin Simmons is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the SEC this year. And I think he has an opportunity to really break out this year. Do I think he's going to put up 4,000 yards of offense? No. 3,000 yards? Yes, I do. I think he can put that up. I think that's easy money that he can get. I am being absolutely serious when I say this, is that I have a high ceiling when it comes to a guy like Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons has all the tools in the world to become one of, if not the best quarterbacks, or at least just one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest, man. And look, I don't know, man. I don't know yet of what to expect from him. But I will say this. Ole Miss is probably one of the most underrated teams in the nation when it comes to this. And I'll be straight up with you. I absolutely love what Austin Simmons is going to bring to the table as a quarterback with Lane Kiffin as your offensive-minded head coach. He's going to make him into a top-tier quarterback. Number 10, I have Blake Shapen. Blake Shapen was underrated in the SEC last year. Now, I know he only played 4 games. Believe me, I know. I can hear all of you out there grilling me and saying, oh, this quarterback rankings list sucks. I know. Blake Shapen is going to get a bit depleted on the offensive side of the ball. But in the 4 games that he did play last year, he looked excellent. 68% completion rate, almost 1,000 yards passing, 8-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He got sacked 11 times, I know. But the guy can flat out play ball. The guy can flat out ball. And I mean, he is a dominant ball player. The guy does not care. The guy can sling the rock. When you're in a Jeff Levy offense, you can sling the rock. And he's got what it takes. Absolutely has what it takes to be a top-tier quarterback. And I think he's going to do it. I think Blake Shapen's going to go down as one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the SEC, along with Austin Simmons. I think the two Mississippi boys are going to go under the radar this year when it comes to quarterback rankings. And again, these rankings can change. But right now, this is where I have him right now. I think Blake Shapen's the top 10 quarterback in the SEC. Number 9, I have Marcel Reed. Now, Marcel Reed showed us some growing. He really grew in the bowl game against USC. But he also showed us that he's still young and that there's still a lot that he can work on. I have all the confidence in the world in him running this Colin Klein offense. But I'll be honest with you, there's still a lot that he can work on. I think his passing game is going to be better. I think his footwork is going to get a lot better. Decision-making wise, he is going to be much better, believe me. But again, still a lot of growing pains, still a lot of things he can improve. Be right back. All right. Apologies for the short break. But anyways, Blake Shapen's a guy that I think can really, really do some damage on the offensive side of the ball. Again, we'll see what this team brings to the table. And like I mentioned about Marcel Reed, the guy's a heck of an athlete, but he's still got a lot of growth. I think he can do some real damage. But again, we'll see. Number 8, I have Taylor Green. Now, Taylor Green is an interesting one to me because he made a lot of Arkansas fans really, really just shake your head in disgust sometimes. And I don't think that a lot of teams really got the whole vibe of Taylor Green yet. To me, I think Taylor Green still has a lot to prove. I think eventually he can become a top 5 quarterback. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he does become that. But again, we'll just have to see what he brings at the end of the day. Can he be consistent? I understand you're losing a lot of weapons. You didn't do bad in the portal. But again, it's about quality over quantity. That's all I'm going to say. Number 7, I have Diego Pavia. Now, Diego Pavia is an interesting one. I'm just going to leave it at that. Because, again, I'm not saying that this is all that's going to happen. Diego Pavia brought arguably the most swagger in the SEC that we haven't seen really since Joe Burrow left. There's just a lot of swagger to this kid, and I think that there's a lot of damage that he could do in college football. Do I think that Vandy's going to win 10 games and go to the national championship? No. Do I think they'll make another bowl game with them? Yes. I do think that that's the case. I think Diego Pavia is going to go down as arguably the greatest quarterback that has come through Nashville in a long time. And I think that Diego Pavia has a high ceiling. I think he's going to make a lot of people really impressed. Despite all of his controversy and despite all he does just to get that extra year of eligibility so he can get some more dough, at the end of the day, he is doing what is best for him. Number 6, I have Nico Iamaleava. I think Nico Iamaleava has a lot to grow. I think people held him to high expectation last year, but just was unable to deliver. And again, we've seen quarterbacks have a lot of success in the Heupel system. Look at what Hendon Hooker did. You could say in some cases, look at what Joe Milton did. But they didn't come out the gate swinging on all cylinders. It took Joe Milton a while to get comfortable in this offense. It took Hendon Hooker a while to get evolved in this offense. Now, I'm not saying Joe Milton is a bad quarterback. I thought he had a pretty decent season, especially in 2022 and even in 2023. Thought he had an excellent 2 seasons. I don't think the system failed them. I think what Milton was able to do in times during the season, he showcased a lot. But I think 2024 was a year where you could look back and say, yeah, we won 10 games. We went to the college football playoff, but what did we accomplish? Overall, we didn't look great in the season. This is one of those years where I think we're going to find out where Tennessee's ceiling is. You've got a decent bit of your core receivers back. You're obviously going to lose Brew McCoy and company. You're obviously, look, do I know what's going to happen at the end of the day for Tennessee? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But again, I will point this out, and I will remind people that when Hendon Hooker first got to Tennessee, he still had his growing pains. There were times when the offense didn't look great. But again, he's an excellent quarterback. I think the guy had a lot to do with a lot of wins that they had early on in the season. This guy threw for 31 touchdowns in his first year. But once he got comfortable in the offense, that's when he really started to click. And you could say the same for Joe Milton. Do I think Nico is going to be of that level because of what's expected of him? I don't know. We're still a long ways away from determining that. I think this season will really determine where we put Nico Iamaleava and what his overall legacy is at Tennessee right now. Because right now I don't know, man. This one is going to make people pissed off. I put Arch Manning at 5. I do think there's a bit of overhype around a guy like that. Now, do I think that he is going to be a guy that's going to come in and just all of a sudden, bam, oh, he's going to be the best quarterback in the nation? Oh, he's going to be that. I don't know. We're still a long ways away from determining that. But I will say this. Arch Manning is a very, very gifted quarterback. But we have not seen the full package of Arch Manning. We've seen him in one start against a pretty crappy ULM team. Apart from that, well, I should say one start. 2 starts in his career. Now, we've seen packages that he's been put in. But apart from that, I don't know. He's played in 10 games. He's done well. Guys, he is a really, really solid quarterback. Make no mistake about that. I am very impressed when it comes to a guy like Arch Manning. I think that he brings a lot of poise and a lot of action. And I think he's going to be a very, very good player in 2025. If he wins the Heisman, I wouldn't be surprised. But I do also say that right now, not sure. I am not sure with what to expect with Arch Manning. I am not sure with what you are going to see from him. I thought in times during the season, he was very, very useful. Look at what he did in the 3-game stretch that he had between UTSA and Mississippi State. Now, against ULM, didn't do that great. 15-29, 258, threw a couple interceptions. What version of Arch Manning are we going to get? Are we going to get a consistent Arch Manning? We'll see. We'll see. Do I know what's going to happen? No, I don't. But again, I'll have more confidence in him once I actually see him in action. Number 4, I've got John Mateer, which in my opinion is the number 1 player in the portal. And I think that Oklahoma is very fortunate to have gotten a guy like that. John Mateer is a very good quarterback. Look at what he did with the same OC who's going to be with him at Oklahoma. With Ben Arbuckle as your OC. These are the stats that you put up. 64% completion rate, 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 826 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns. The guy put up 44 total touchdowns at Washington State. I understand that you played Wyoming, that you played New Mexico, that you played Utah State, San Diego State, Hawaii, Fresno, Boise, San Jose State, Washington, Texas Tech, and Portland State. I get that. Believe me, I do. But look at what he did against good offenses. Or we'll look at what he did against decent defenses. in my opinion, I think that a team like New Mexico, who went kind of under the radar, I know they went 5-7 this year. Look, they had a solid defense. Had a very, very good defense for a while. But look, which version of John Mateer are we going to get? Are we going to get the one we saw at Wazoo that's going to dominate all across the field? Because it's a different animal in the SEC. Again, we'll see. But right now, I think with what kind of skill set he brings, I think he's a better quarterback than Arch Manning. Boom. I said it. What are you going to do? Get mad at me? Oh, you're going to cancel me? Go for it. I don't care. It's not the first time I've been canceled by Texas fans. So, again, we don't know what to expect from John Mateer just yet with this Ben Arbuckle offense in Oklahoma, with all of the unbelievable amount of transfers that you lost. We'll see. Number 3, I have DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway, to me, is the quarterback to look out for in the 2027 NFL draft. I think he'll be QB1 off the board. And to me, this is a fairly good NFL draft class. In this draft class, if he were to come out this year, I think he would be QB1. Now, he would be fighting Garrett Nussmeier and Kate Klubnik for that, but I do think he would be QB1 because of his athleticism and what he is bringing to Florida as quarterback 1. Look, DJ Lagway is one of those guys that you rarely see nowadays. He has an unbelievable ability to get outside the pocket and make magic. even when he was injured, even when he was on a weak knee against LSU, put up unbelievable numbers. 13-26. I know he had a 50% completion percentage, 226 and a touchdown. Now, I know he didn't change the game, but the guy can flat out play. Look at what he can do. Look at what he can do. If he has an elite array of talent around him like he does right now from what he got in the portal, DJ Lagway is going to have a season that you haven't seen in a while. DJ Lagway is that type of player. I think he has all the talent in the world to be one of the best quarterbacks in 2025. Number 2, I got Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers absolutely turned it up in 2024, especially in the second half of the season. Lenore Sellers looked like a man possessed with a bad offensive line, with a bad team. This is the type of production that you were able to get from him. And it was downright impressive. It was downright impressive. There was a stretch during their 6-game winning streak. During their 6-game winning streak, the guy had a 67% completion rate. He would have had a 68 if I had counted the bowl game against Illinois. But again, unbelievable numbers that he was able to put up. He helped beat Clemson. He would take over games. Look at what he did against Texas A&M. Look at what he did against Missouri. Look at what he did in those games. You saw a different animal come out whenever he finally got comfortable. And I think he's probably the most underrated quarterback in college football. Also during that 3-game stretch, threw for 246 yards. Not only is he that, the guy can run. had 350 yards by himself against Texas A&M. And had 73 yards on the ground. In that 6-game stretch, if he can do that on a regular basis and be a consistent quarterback and not feel the same pressure that he did all season against good fronts like Texas A&M, guys, he got sacked 5 times against Oklahoma. Shoot, during the first half of the season when they were 3-3 actually, because I'm going to count that Oklahoma game in there. Guys, he was under a lot of duress. He got sacked 25 times. And then from Texas A&M on, the rest of the season, they went back-to-back weeks without a sack allowed. Against Vandy, against Texas A&M. And then they kind of let up, had 8 sacks. Got sacked 8 times the rest of the year. An impressive feat that hasn't been matched up in a while. That's why I have a high ceiling for Lenore Sellers. If he can be consistent on a regular basis, even with no help in the Citrus Bowl or in the Cheez-It Bowl, he could take over a game. 24-34, 260 and a touchdown. If he does more this year, he's going to be arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the 2026 NFL draft. And the number one, it shouldn't be anybody's surprise, Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier just has that it factor to him. With this offense and how it's been clicking, it's no surprise to anybody why he's the number one guy. He's got the best receiving room. Everything about him just screams franchise quarterback. And I think with what you're getting in Garrett Nussmeier is just another line of some of the great quarterbacks that have come through LSU and one that's going to continue to go on for the next several years. Garrett Nussmeier has a great arm. He's going to get better with being comfortable with running the football. He has to. Especially, he doesn't have to be Jaden Daniels. Remember, he doesn't have to be that. Joe Burrow wasn't Jaden Daniels, I can promise you that. But the guy can flat out play. And with what you have surrounding him, if you have a much better offensive line, which has got to be your number one concern, both sides of the line of scrimmage have to be a concern for LSU going into this year. I think this is a guy that I think can take over any game of the year. Make no mistake about it. Write it down. I think that Garrett Nussmeier is not only a Heisman favorite, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins the Heisman. And I think this is a guy that you can really, really mark down in your books as QB1 for an NFL franchise. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us here on Inside the Huddle. Big show coming up for us Thursday. Jake Crane's joining us. We'll talk a lot more around college football. All right, y'all have a great rest of the night. We'll see y'all Thursday.